I would have to share, excuse me, I would have to share a story of something that made such a profound difference to me that I would hope that I could transmit something of it to them. And I think I would probably share the story of meeting my wife, to whom I've been very happily married since 2006. And it's, I mean, it is a, you know, it's a nice romantic story, but also for me, the key to what happened was to do with trusting myself, listening to my inner wisdom. So the story in a nutshell, because we could make this into a movie, but the story in a nutshell was that I made a connection here in England with a guy who happened to be married to an Indonesian lady. And he and I, just over the phone, it was nothing to do with ladies at the time, but we just liked each other. We struck up a friendship, we made each other laugh. He was quite a lot older than me. And he happened to be here in England at the time when we internet-wise met, but his main home was in Indonesia, a country I'd never been to before. At the time, I think I probably couldn't have even told you where it was on the map. If that's one of your questions, I know how to answer that now, but I didn't back then. And he introduced me to this lady. She was an ex-neighbor of theirs, still single, obviously. And he said, "Why don't you come over and be our guest, and I'll introduce you." And at the time, I'd been through my second divorce 5 years before. After I'd licked my wounds for about 6 months over that, I'd spent the remaining 4.5 years of that 5 years deciding quite consciously to live a bachelor existence. And if someone came along, but I was prepared to, if need be, to spend the rest of my life single. I'd been through, I'd given marriage two runs for its money, and it hadn't worked out for me. That's the way I saw it at the time. But that year, I was 50 that year. For some reason, that number hit me harder than 40 did. And this opportunity came up, and I thought, well, worst case scenario, I get to stay with a new friend in a country I've never seen before, and have some fun. And worst case scenario, so why not? Okay. So I flew over there. I met this woman. The first full day I was there, she came over to their house in the afternoon. We got on really well. We laughed a lot. We chatted a lot. She spoke English, thankfully. And I had 2 weeks there, and I said, well, I would like to see you again if you would like that as well. But what are you doing? And she said, oh, well, I do have commitments. I actually teach English to students. And then she kind of thought about it. She said, I can rearrange things. Let's go out tomorrow. I'll meet you somewhere and we'll go out on a bus. Now, I had no idea that in Indonesian culture, for a single woman to be seen out and about with a man, and obviously in Indonesia, being a big white guy, I stand out like a sore thumb, so it wasn't like I could exactly hide, is completely against the culture. I didn't know that. And she was living with her family, including her dad at the time, who was quite strict. Nice man, but quite strict. I didn't know any of this. So she met me, we got on the bus, we went to a beach. But somewhere along the bus ride, at a bus stop, a passenger several rows behind us got up to get off the bus. And Anna, as she's called, looked at this woman and went, oh my gosh, that's my neighbor. And I said, so? And she said, no, you don't understand. She is the village gossip. And I was like, well, what's she going to gossip about? She said, well, I shouldn't be here with you. And I've told my dad that I'm actually shopping with a girlfriend, which I didn't know until that moment. And so I said, oh, well, what's the problem? And she said, well, you just don't understand that you know, that is going to cause a lot of troubles. My whole reputation is at stake because of this. And so I said, well, supposing we had a good reason for being on the bus together. She said, well, what would that be? And I said, well, supposing we were getting married. And she went, what? And I was like, well, I spent the night, I said, you know, after you left yesterday, not sleeping very much because I simply could not think of a reason why I wouldn't want to spend every day of my life with you. And that's true. And the problem that I'd had during that night, Tommy, was not that I couldn't sleep very well. It was lovely to meet a woman that I felt that way about, but that I couldn't ask anybody. I was 7,000 miles away from home. Had I met her locally, I would have just phoned all my friends and said, hey, I've met this lovely girl. What do you think? You know, I'd quite like to marry her. And they'd have gone, don't be ridiculous. And the other thing about Indonesia is you can't date a girl. You can't just take her out for dinner or a dance. You go around to her house and you're chaperoned until you're husband and wife. Or if you're not husband and wife, then you just keep on chaperoning or being chaperoned until one of you gives up, I guess. So it was the best thing I've ever done in my life. We have a fantastic marriage. She lives here now, obviously, and she's a British citizen. And I can't remember a day when we weren't laughing, or I mean, it's just a fantastic marriage. I'm not prescribing that. I'm not saying, well, just meet somebody when you know, just ask them the same day, let's get married. I wouldn't. I'm not saying that's wise. What I'm saying is that I had to trust my gut. And it was life-changing for both of us, obviously. And she had to trust her gut as well. I can't explain that. There have been lots of other examples in my life when I've done that, but none with that magnitude of consequence. So it's listening to that. It's like, yeah, but I want to be with her. There's all the logic would say, don't be stupid, you don't know this woman, you only met her yesterday, it's ridiculous. And it could have obviously gone terribly wrong, especially after I'd been married and divorced twice. So I can only hope that inspires people.